Hello everybody, my name is Hofstad's Taurus and welcome to Scourge of Waterloo Tactical Communications. For those of you who don't know what Tactical Communications is, it's just a series I want to do talking about what makes a game accessible. And I'm doing it for specific games, and this one is for my absolute favorite game of all time. But the problem with this game is that it's an absolute bitch for people to get into. It is just as bad as Gravity, but at least the developers on this one speak more English. That was pretty mean. But let's get on with it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the tutorial. The tutorial, I think, was okay. It essentially gave you command of 1 or 2 units and just let you screw around with them, and had a dynamic menu which told you everything you need to know about how to operate those 2 units. But that is where it stops, and this game has a lot more than that. You operate thousands of units at any one, well, not thousands, a whole heap of several regiments organized into corps, divisions, and an army. And the tutorial is just not appropriate for that level of commitment. Because this game is absolutely massive. You command the entire Battle of Waterloo, and for the tutorial to only show you how to use 2 brigades, it's just not enough. Because even when you do scale up through the different levels of command, as soon as you go past brigade and into division, then you're gonna be a little bit lost because it gets very difficult. Now, the manual also suffers from the same thing. It does tell you everything you need to know, but again, it is only really useful for commanding brigades, and I find that a little bit questionable, because it took a lot to figure out what the hell is actually happening in higher level scenarios, and I found that very, very disappointing. The next thing I want to talk about is the UI, and it's pretty good. I would still suggest getting the Grogheads mod for it, but the base game is still pretty decent. Everything you need to know is down here for commanding your units, and an extra hidden function is when you click on a unit, you can hold right click and it'll bring up a little context menu, and that'll show its destination if you want them to go fast, if you want them to form a line, and you can right click, stacking orders, and then send them. So it would form up in their formation at a specific time, and I think that's a really neat way to control your units. However, the problem with this is that it sort of kind of fades when you start using divisions. When you use a division, there pretty much is no context menu. The formations are lacking, and it's really difficult to delegate units for anything above a brigade, and I find that really disappointing, especially for people that do want to delegate through higher level command. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the map. Yeah, you cannot zoom in on this thing. It's absolutely awful to look at, and it just makes no bloody sense whatsoever. This map is cancer. I absolutely hate it, and I will never use this thing because it's just too hard to look at. It is an eyesore, and it's just not functional. The only use for this thing is to move a unit from one end of the map to the other. That is it. That is all it is good for. I just find it that disappointing. Ah, damn it. The next thing, oh Jesus, I want to talk about is how the scenarios are constructed. It is similar to Gary Goose's War in the East, is that it shows small bits of a larger scenario and packages them in a way that helps you understand the full context for a campaign. Now, the Battle of Waterloo was 9 hours long, and there are a whole group of scenarios for the French and for the Allies, and these scenarios each show different parts of the main battle. Hi. Yes, it does show each part of the main battle, and this allows you to give more context for what happens later, and I think that is an excellent way to structure a campaign. I praised it so much in my Gary Goose's War in the East video, and I praise it so much here again. I think it's an absolutely fantastic way for people to get an idea of what's happening, but it is useless if you don't know how to command a freaking corps. I mean, it's just nasty. And having said that, the managing a corps is absolutely awful. This is just contextless. You don't really know what you are looking at, because the problem with looking at this order of battle is that it also shows all the units that you don't have command over. So if you don't know who you are, this means absolutely nothing. You're just screwing for it, trying to figure out who the hell you are. I don't think it's appropriate. It's just not that They're easy for a newcomer to get in, look at your order of battle, look at who you are commanding, and then go from there. I find it to be not that functional. It's really inappropriate. So, in total, I would give the tutorial scenario a 4 out of 10, and this is because it doesn't show anything from a higher command level. The same thing goes for the manual. It does show everything you need to know to command brigades, but that is basically it. For the UI, I give it a 7 out of 10, and that's because it's really easy to command your units. However, the map is a giant piece of shit. And lastly, for the campaign structure, I would give that a 10 out of 10 because, again, it shows everything you need to know, similar to Garrett War in the East. I think that's a fantastic way of operating your units. Oh, there's something else I should bring up. If you wish to, this game also prides itself on being command simulator in that you can use your courier to send out orders. However, I don't like this, because it also relies on map functionality. Because if you are looking down at the base here, where the camera normally is, it is an absolute nightmare to control your units, and the courier doesn't help with that. I find it absolutely awful. Combined with the absolutely awful map, that piece of cancer, courier just doesn't work in this game. I'm sorry, but the only way you can play this game is by looking up the top from the map here in a bird's eye view where you have direct control over all of your units. It is the only way to play, and I find the career to be it's just too hard to use this game in that mode. So this has been Hofstad's Tortoise. This game is pretty hard to review in terms of its accessibility because there's just a lot to it, and it's kind of haphazard, and it's a bit strange because I'm more used to hex encounter games. So I hope I gave you an idea of what to expect if you do pick up this game, and I really do suggest picking up this game because it's going to require a lot of work on part of the player to understand how to operate this game on a higher level. So this has been Hofstad's Tortoise. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing and all that crap, and I hope you have a good day.